Lou Thesz successfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship.
Rogers strut.
Kowalski's got him right where he wants him.
Dory Funk Jr. wanting that World Heavyweight Championship.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Simon Felder's Dusty Rhodes has just become the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.
Presenting the greatest organization in wrestling history.
We always deliver on our promises at the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, was pretty hard, and look at what are you going to work now? Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Billy Corgan's NWA. We are here, week 1 of February in the save here, and have a couple weeks away before our next pay-per-view, My Vicious Valentine. But we also have to work on our tournament, because we are going to do the Crockett Cup, and we're going to have to start to work on that. I think we're going to do that after this episode. We're going to have a special episode just dedicated to setting it up. I think we're going to do a bigger tournament this time. I don't remember what we did last time. We might be the same size, actually. It's been a bit of a distance between when we last did it. But I think the plan is going to be a 16 team tournament. And we're going to run it in our pre-show, so it doesn't throw off the main show too much. That was our problem last time, is we had to kind of cram everything in. This way we can have 2 or 3 pre-show matches a night and run the tournament that way. I also want to do, I think, 8 teams from the NWA, and the other 8 teams being new debuts. So the winner gets a title shot at the next applicable pay-per-view. And if they're not, signed, they get a contract, obviously, because they have to get a contract in order to actually get a title shot. That makes sense. So I think having a mix, because we do have a lot more teams now than we used to. So I definitely think that is going to be beneficial for us. It'll allow us to kind of allow our teams to do some things, put in some work, but also have an opportunity to showcase some of the other wrestling teams out there that we can kind of bring in and make things a little interesting. I like to run the Crockett Cup very similar to Chikara's King of Trios, which similarly did a nice blend of their own roster mixed in with special guests to challenge. So that's definitely how it's going to be the focus on that. I think we're also going to make it a viewer choice tournament. So we'll probably have a vote system set up in the comments that you'll be able to vote on basically the next 2 or 3 batches of winners, and then we'll see who ends up getting to the finals. It should be pretty fun to shake it all out and see what happens. Now, that out of the way, we got to go ahead and run a show. So last time, which has been a bit of a break, we have a pretty decent power. Actually, I think one of our best powers we've ever had, 60, which is crazy. Pretty good show. Ron Killings, Outlaw Inc., defeating Smoking Aces. Obviously, we're continuing that feud between Ace Austin and Ron Killings. Pillman Jr. Fighting against Ricky Starks, tag teaming with Nick Aldis and Pentagon Jr. Weird match, but it worked out well. Ezekiel Crawley coming back, offering his dark prophecy, saying that, we've always had this sort of cult element in the NWA, and he's kind of continuing that. He's got that sort of dark prophecy saying that, he's sort of almost the Antichrist to what that cult used to be. Jeff Jarrett having some phone calls, and it sounds like the board is not happy with him, and I'm sure that'll play out later. Mickie James, of course, putting in work as our champion. So overall, a fairly strong show. Even our weakest matches, which I think was Athena and Sonia Baranato, getting a 40, which is not too bad. But the rest of it was a very solid. And of course, our main event really did a lot of work for us here. Gave us a 60, so very good overall. Hopefully we can continue that. financially, we got that big blunder of not getting that pay-per-view set up, but we should be set up for broadcasting this time. So going into My Vicious Valentine in a couple weeks, we should be in good shape. But boy, that was definitely a missed opportunity when it came to our profit. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get on to the show, and I'll catch you guys on the flip here. All right, we are back. We are ready for our show. We need to make sure we are in our soundstage. We got 687 fans at our show, which is pretty solid. Last time we had 757, so it's usually always a little bit higher than what we were expecting. So we're getting close to the position where we might reach our capacity in our venue, which is always really good here for us. We do have some backstage incidents. One involving Tim Storm Jr. here. He entertained the locker room by putting on a poker tournament. And of course, we have Ramona Riot and Nicky James having a incident of some sort. Ramona was brought before a wrestler's court, accused of failing to pick up her share of the tab at a bar. And the judge, of course, found her guilty and sentenced her to buy drinks for everyone after the show, which is a fitting punishment for not picking up her share of tabs at the bar. There we go. Locker room controls. We'll go ahead and we'll medal. Why don't we do Athena and Mickey James? We'll try to build something. It's extremely unlikely. High chance of failing. That's fine, but we'll give it a shot. Always nice to have some potential more relationships within the group. So that would be a good shot there. All right, we got a show to put on. Not really sure what we're going to do with this episode, to be honest. There might be some big changes in the lineup here going forward, and I'm wondering if I want to definitively settle a main storyline and move on to something else now or wait. So you're gonna have to kind of see what we're gonna do. So let's go ahead, let's get on with the show. Catch you guys on the flip to see what shakes out in this power. Alright guys, we are back. We're ready for a full 95 minutes with 3 pre-show matches, so we got a lot on our plate. Let's go ahead and let's see how this episode of NWA Power shakes out. We start the pre-show with Tim Storm Jr. versus Jarrett 120. Trying to give both of these guys just some more experience. Tim Storm Jr.'s at a 25, Jarrett at a 38. So, Tim Storm, we're hoping to improve, get a little bit better, but, still not performing great, but definitely better than he used to. I think he used to pull in like 15s, so not that bad. We'll keep him on the pre-show, keep him safe, and build him up this way. We got a triple, or a trios match. For some reason, Thunder Rosa's listed as heel, and I don't remember us changing that, but I put her on the heel side for now. But I thought we had her set as face, so we'll have to take a look at that and see if we can move her over. In this match, though, it's pretty solid overall. 51, everyone did pretty okay. Thunder Rosa pinned Delilah Doom, gave a La Raza. Ramona Riot's getting better at her gimmick, which is good. And overall, everyone did pretty okay. Big Swell's at 38, Delilah Doom's at a 31. Definitely our weakest of the batch there. Big standouts are obviously Thunder Rosa at a 63, Ramona at a 57, which I know we had talked about it in the last save, and obviously it's one of the reasons why we moved to the new database. I think these numbers definitely look a lot better than that beta that we were working with for so long, right? These feel like what I would imagine those two to have. So that seems good. Obviously, popularity is going to come into an effect on that, but overall, pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with the progress everybody is making here, and it gives a lot of people some work in this match in a pre-show. We got Enzo and Cass. Enzo's upset about something. I don't know what. We'll have to take a look at why he's annoyed, but I wanted to give him a win here. So he is the one that pins Brett Tate with a bada boom shakalaka. Enzo has a 44, Big Cass has a 49, and the Tate brothers have about 41 respectively. Gets us a 46. Not sure what's going on with him. We'll have to take a look. We do have the left off the show penalty on, which is kind of annoying, but I'm going to keep it on the save to try to balance it and try to give myself a challenge. It's a bit of an issue when I really don't think companies that have these like loose paper appearance deals should really have that issue, because it's just like, well, you get hired or you don't. I could see it for events, but not for TV shows. But it's possible that he was left off of too many shows and got upset. We'll have to take a look and see. We start the show off proper with a big announcement from Jeff Jarrett saying that because it was so inconclusive, tonight we're going to have a 2 out of 3 Falls championship match. Ron Killings, Ace Austin. Jarrett says that the referees have been told to ban anybody from ringside if they show up. So it should just be these two definitively will determine the championship here. So we have a definite answer to the winner here, right? This starts to show off pretty good, got the crowd hotter. People were interested in seeing these two fight, and it really shows because it got the show off to a strong start. Segment gets a 60, so good start, good main event. Should be an interesting power. Segment dips a little bit as we have a squash match between our pet project, Big Rig Levi Cooper versus Marty Martinez. Martinez comes in, does the job in 8 minutes. Levi has a 47, Marty Martinez has a 36. Again, it's it's about what we were going to expect, but we got to give Levi some matches to boost him up here a little bit. We might move him to the pre-show though. 47 is not bad though. I think if we give him a win over somebody above his station, he'll be okay. I mean, get him to like a 47. Really, Marty Martinez was the one that drug most of this match down. But as rule of thumb, we're in the green, so we're clean. Happy with that. We'll take it. Nicky James has a open challenge, does some mic work that does pretty well for us, gets us a 50. Again, continuing sort of this nobody in NWA can challenge me, nobody's worth my time, I'm a double champion, anybody that wants a shot can come in. And we do get a new open challenge from the outside. Mia Yim comes out, not part of the NWA, but comes in to take the open challenge. It's sort of a tryout match. I want to see how she does. I would not hate bringing her in, but I'm not sure in this save how her ring work is. So this is going to be a good opportunity to take a look. That's okay. 43. Mickey James defeats Mia Yim in 10 minutes by pinfall. Gives her MDT and makes defense number 1 of the women's world title. Match itself is a 51. So overall, pretty okay. Got the crowd hotter. Not much to say about it other than it's pretty okay. I'm not super impressed by the in-ring performance, but we can take a look at her other skill sets and see if there's some way we can kind of move her in. I was hoping for like a 47 or higher at least, because we are looking for a little bit more of a stable number for our women's matches. Our top end works pretty okay, but I was hoping she was at least going to be like a, like a Athena or a like a Ramona Riot level, where we're getting a pretty consistent number, not on the low end here. Because I really ultimately what I would like is to make sure that no segment is under 50. That's sort of my new goal. I know we were talking about just a second ago that the green light's good. Green light's definitely good. That's sort of my barometer. But now that we started to taste that 60 rating, I want to try to get consistently 50 or higher in terms of success here. So starting to find wrestlers or find ones that can be groomed to that level would be good. Now, she might be able to get to that level. We had to look at her popularity. If her popularity is already pretty high and she's only getting 43, I don't know. But, if her popularity is much lower than we think it should be, maybe giving her a little bit of a spotlight can boost her up to get to, 51. I mean, Mickie James isn't necessarily pulling in crazy performances here either, right? Afterwards, we have a segment where Mickie James attacks Mia Yim, beats her up a little bit after the match, doing sort of the punishment queen kind of gimmick. Athena comes in, our new hot commodity. She makes the save, protects Mia Yim, and kind of starts a little bit of maybe a feud with Mickie James as she kind of steps up to protect her a little bit, right? So, unfortunately, this only gets a 49, but not far from that 50. So, overall, I'm pretty happy with that. And we'll have to see. Maybe we'll have like a tag match against them at some point, kind of see if we can maybe build up Mia Yim a little bit as well. Meanwhile, backstage, we got a pretty good segment here as Jeff Jarrett is frustrated on a phone call in his office. He's been getting hammered. He's got this vision for the NWA. It's kind of a carny vision, and the board is uncomfortable with the power that he has. NWA, ever since Billy Corgan has gotten there, has been rife with infighting and political subterfuge. We've had Paul Pinky George III, who's now our commentary guy, tried to wrest control for a while. Now Jeff Jarrett has control. Seems like there's a lot of a lack of confidence in people being able to run it. There's a lot of investors, there's a lot of people, old money in the NWA, and we're seeing it start to pop up here as Jeff Jarrett gets off the phone frustrated. More problems with the home office. He looks up and he sees a figure. We don't get a good look at the figure. We just see kind of a muscly shoulder. Jeff Jarrett instantly recognizes this person of his past, and he's not too thrilled to see him. He goes, "What are you doing here?" So they sent you? Listen, I don't need your help here. All right? The company is working perfectly fine that another investor sticking their nose into things. A familiar voice that we can't quite pinpoint speaks back to him. He goes, listen, there's more than one person that has a stake in this company, pal. And you're not the only one that can claim it as their own, as their families. Just make sure things are running smoothly, because it won't be long until it'll be my time to shine. So, mystery voice, another investor shows up. A conflict with Jeff Jarrett now looming, as we have this mystery investor who claims to have, like Jeff Jarrett, whose dad ran basically the last vestige of the NWA at one point, right? He ran NWA TNA, one of the last actual promotions for a while. Jeff Jarrett uses that to claim his legacy. Now another person's coming in saying he has just as much of a family connection to the NWA, and Jeff Jarrett knows him personally. So it's kind of interesting. We'll have to see where that shakes out and who that is, and how that sort of balance of power is going to kind of shake out there. Get a 60 for this. This is very good. Wow, this was weird. Poorly paced. Okay, well, the red hot crowd, I put this as a lift the crowd because I thought the women's match was going to bring them down a bit because it was a storytelling match, but it did the opposite. So this kind of got totally messed up, and it's really my booking's fault. Not either of the competitors did fairly decently here. Chris Hero versus Dante Martin does pretty okay. Dante debuts, it's adequate. He benefited from his hot new move. He did very well. Unfortunately, Chris Hero defeats him in his debut. It's poorly paced. Obviously, a red hot crowd is not going to get excited for a match designed to gently lift them up. But, we've messed that up, but it's hard to know for sure going into it. Really thought that women's match was going to sour them. After the fact, Oh boy, this is a bad segment. Here's that yellow. Post match, Chris Hero grabs a microphone. He says, "This business is all about respect. There are legends of this business that are unknown to people. People that put the work in, who really hone the craft and the art. And they've never really gotten their due. Sometimes you'll hear their names, you'll see them on indies, you'll hear them referred to as your wrestler's favorite wrestler. There's a lot of these people in this very company struggling and trying to make a name for themselves still. Some even are so influential, they inspire future generations. I am one such man. Dante, you did good. You show promise. And I'm not going to hurt you further. I respect you. I've done that enough to people. Now, I do need you to pay fealty to the king of pro wrestling. The person who's inspired you, me. All you got to do is bow down and, as a sign of respect, kiss my boots. Chris Hero, very smug now, fully adopting that king of pro wrestling gimmick. Dante refuses, and Chris Hero sighs and ends up putting him into another hold and forces him down in pain. And Dante relents and kisses him on the shoe. And as he does, Chris Hero releases the hold, but not before getting his leg lifted up and giving Dante a curb stomp brutally into the mat. Dante lays there unconscious and hurt, and that brings out Tim Storm Sr., a person who previously interrupted Chris Hero after his match with Tim Storm Jr. Clearly, Tim Storm probably feels very similarly that he's one of those guys that has done a lot for the company but never got respected kind of situation. So I think a little bit of Chris Hero's words and a lot of his actions have brought him face to face with him, and the retired Tim Storm comes out, squares off with him, and Chris Hero smirks and just slides away. He doesn't let Storm attack him. He doesn't get into a fight with him. He just backs away and lets him fume. Tim Storm ends up tending to Dante Martin, but Chris Hero clearly is now fully absorbed in the belief that he is God's gift to pro wrestling. And Tim Storm seems to have a lot of feelings about that, right? And the two, Tim Storm's retired, so he can't necessarily go head to head. Is he going to bring his son in? Is he going to try to find somebody else? Is he going to unretire? We don't know, but it's clear that the two of them are definitely moving to a collision. Unfortunately, this segment does not do very well. It's unclear why. Could be a mix of their entertainment ratings and things like that, but it's our first big flop of the night, unfortunately, and it just does not click. This match is better, but not great. I don't think we're going to get our 60th tonight, let's just say that, but we may have some surprises for the main event that may help us. It's an extremely short match. The Briscoes defeated the Dawson Brothers in 5 minutes. Mark Briscoe gets the pin, gives him a froggy bow. Jay Briscoe carried. That's why I gave Mark kind of the pin to kind of boost him up a little bit. Jay's got a 62, doing very well. Mark, unfortunately, is only at a 46, about the same as the Dawsons. Obviously, them boys building up a feud. They basically lost a title shot because they imploded with FTR, and they're looking to kind of grind that back. And kind of build back up. This segment overall, though, only gets a 42. It's not a great match, but it's also a very short match. So if it was longer, we would have got a better segment rating, but we wanted it just to be kind of a short segment here. Afterwards, FTR jump at the Briscoes, still hot and bothered by what happened in that ladder match at Down But Not Out. The two brawl all the way through the back, and they have just a brutal backstage brawl. They're knocking over things. They're attacking each other all the way to the back. FTR end up getting the better of it. but it's pretty close. It's really hard to say that one group really did better than the other, but the fans are treated with a really, really raucous backstage brawl as the two teams just collide and clearly are building up to a feud here. And in our main event, which does very well, we have... That's one of these things is wrong. I swear, sometimes I type something in and I select it, and I think I spin my mouse controller, my mouse wheel, and it just does something very odd. But we have Ace Austin versus Ron Killings, 2 out of 3 falls. Ace Austin defeats Ron Killings by 2 straight falls. Final fall happening with a pinfall. We saw Mike Posey take over after referee after the original was knocked out. During the match, during the period where the ref was knocked out, we actually had Matthias Breeze, not Matt Cross, shockingly, run in and attack R-Truth, allowing him to set up for the second pinfall. And as that happened and he ran away, that allowed us to get another ref in, and Ace Austin was able to still slimily win and retain the world's heavyweight title. It seems that the feud between these two are over. Maybe not, maybe just paused, but Ace Austin gets the rubber match win here after that inconclusive pay-per-view event. Segment gets a 62, did very good, got the crowd hotter. So overall, a pretty solid match. And then the internet blows up as afterwards, Ace Austin is celebrating in the ring, and GCW and former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley appears through the crowd, clearly looking to belt collect himself. He ends up appearing behind Ace Austin, who's unaware of his presence, and he gets a paradigm shift and leveled out. Jon Moxley actually takes the belt and walks away. The crowd is buzzing. We get a very good rating for Jon Moxley, who's now in the NWA. One of the great benefits of this mod, this updated one, is obviously he's no longer written exclusive in AEW, which means we can utilize him. And utilize him we did, as we now have a new top face challenger for Ace Austin, the GC, or I guess is he former GCW? Is he no longer in the Save? We'll have to take a look. But a person well known in the indies has now basically found a new independent belt that he's never collected to kind of be his target. So we did pretty good, increased in 11 regions, not all 12. We ended at a 59. It's not that 60, but we knew that was going to happen. We just had a few weaker segments. That's okay, though. I'll definitely take a 59. Very solid show. We do have some mail to go through here. Enzo's opinion, Big Cat. Enzo is talking about his best friend behind his back. Enzo says Big Kaz doesn't connect with the fans. He's a waste of time. Wow. What a scumbag. What a scumbag. NWA Power Report says we drew 700 fans, 100 shy of a sellout crowd. The show was awesome. So, we might feel like it didn't reach what we wanted, but overall it did very well. Financially, looking a little hairy. Hopefully, when we get some more of that merchandise sales in, we get some extra sponsorship, we'll come in flat, but we're definitely in the red early in this month, which is not great. I did want to check, now that we're talking about it, I've got Jon Moxley here. His title history, he's still GCW champion. I don't remember, I feel like someone else is GCW champion currently in real life, and I kind of fell off of it, so I don't know for certain. He obviously was AEW World Champion for a while, United States Heavyweight Championship for IWGP. So he's got some accolades, but here he is now coming in looking for a shot at NWA Championship. That popularity is going to be very good for us. I think that will be a big boon to us, a big boost. It's kind of a cheap way to get the eyes on the product, but it is something that, as an independent company and a smaller one, is not a bad idea to do. Now, I did want to look at Mia Yim. So when we were talking about her popularity, she's 35 in terms of popularity across the country, which is not too bad, but she's a veteran. She's not going to get much better in the ring, but we could get her more popular potentially. So it's an option. It's something we could do. She's got good charisma, which could be helpful for promos, things like that. Her skill set in the ring is average. So really, we would rely on her on really strong segments. Not great microphone work, but presence she's good at. That's tricky. It's a tough situation. But I think we could probably utilize her. She's fine in terms of price. Bring her in, at least for a little bit of time. Might not be a bad idea. So that was it. Our next episode is actually not going to be a actual episode. We're going to do sort of a mini episode where we kind of set up the tournament. So keep an eye out for that. That should be a pretty good one. But thank you guys for joining me this week, and I'll catch you guys next time for another episode of Billy Corgan's NWA.